This is my '07 BMW X5 with the 4.8 liter V8 engine in it. I picked it up cheap and it was in rough condition. So I did a tune-up, transmission work, interior work, suspension work, and I thought I was good to go, but now it's leaking coolant. So it's time to play Find That Leak. So as far as I can tell, all the hoses going to and from the radiator are dry. So the search continues. So I decided to get under the car and see if I could trace my way up to the leak. So why is coolant all the way back here? This is the cover for the transmission. As you can see, there's coolant back here. So what is above this? More coolant is here, but where is it coming from? I traced the coolant path as far as I could up from beneath the car, so I had to go up top to see if I could find the source. I don't know how to get these out. I don't want to break stuff, and this plastic is not behaving. It seemed like I could just squeeze or pry this out, but it's not coming. As it turns out, many of the times, I just had to pull harder. Well, the leak could be coming from somewhere up here, so I'm gonna take all this off and see what I can find. Got on the other side of this clamp here. The gear is occluded by this tube, but I used it to loosen this, and I think that lets this all come off. What's it hanging on to back there? What am I trying to break? Ah, nothing. Just checking what looks like the heater hoses to see if there's any leaks, and they are all dry from what I can tell, at least up here anyway. So let's continue. Don't know why that one was so tough to get off, but it looks like it'll still seal okay. This does not want to come off. Ugh. Yeesh. How do I get to that? How do I get this off though? This can't be the way to do this. Well, it was the way to do it, but it was brittle. But luckily the bottom clip, yeah, got lucky. The bottom clip will keep it in. But anyway, it's disconnected. How much movement does that give us? Not much, but it'll give us a bit more if I free these wires from here. And at this point, I was too short to keep working on the car on the ramps, so I had to drop it. Now that I'm a bit lower, I'll be careful with this side. A lot better. This wire right here goes to a connector that is way down there. I'm gonna take it out if I can get to it, and I can get to it, but it is very stuck. I wonder if I can have enough play without taking that off. I just might. Well, whether I need to take it off or not is a moot point because I got it mostly off. And then there's another one somewhere down there. Oh boy. So I moved on to removing the rest of the harness and the injectors. Thankfully, it fell to the ground. I didn't drop this one yet. Now that should allow me to flop this to the other side. Yes, it is free. Nice. There are the injectors. A little bolt. I think it's like a grounding wire or something. There we go. I wish I could have got these off. That may give me enough space. This is going to be fun putting back together. All right. So the fuel rail sits over there like that. I still need to free this stuff up a little better. So now I just got to convince myself that I can get to the nuts at the back. The first four, 1, 2, 3, 4, will be cake. That one back there, wait a minute, I think I'll be able to get to it too. A lot easier than I thought. And I'm gonna take this one off with my hands and place it in a safe spot. Let's see if I have the same luck with this one. Looks like it. My hand fit in there just barely. Now this is exactly the kind of thing I would drop. Let's see if I have better luck. Don't want to take any chances. There we go. Now for the rest. And I gotta vacuum this out. This is a lot of debris. Alright, it should be free, but it's not because it's never been removed. Alright, so it's free and it's gonna have to come above this and under all this stuff. And there's 3 connections on the back. Luckily, it doesn't feel too heavy. I'm trying to see what these connectors look like. So I stuck my phone behind the intake manifold so that I would get an idea of what to feel for with my hands. And there are 2 connectors on the outside, both with little clips you can push in to release it. And the one in the middle has a tab that is in the middle of the back of the connector that you can press down and pull. Taking a picture gave me a lay of the land. Even with the picture, I struggled a bit. I even set a camera back there so I could see what I was doing. What ended up working on this one was pushing in on the clip and then pushing down right here at this elbow. Pretty much the same technique worked on this one, but the center one was a bit different. You can press down on the tab and start to wiggle the connector off, but it will bottom out as if there's not room to pull it off. Then you have to kind of rotate it away from the other side so that you can take it off. Or you can lift the back of the intake manifold and pull it all the way off. Both ways work. You just got to figure out what will be easier for you. So way back here is this thing that is held on to this by a little clamp or a little plastic clip bracket. I don't know what you call it. But taking that out allows this more freedom. Up here, I will be taking off this, and I can't get my fingers in there to squeeze it, so I'm going to try and get it off by squeezing it with some needle nose pliers and pulling back on this part right here. I'm optimistic. Okay, so that gets a good squeeze on it. Come on. Let's see if removing it over here would be any easier. It's feeling like it. Hope I don't break something. Since I was having issues disconnecting it here, I just followed it and it came to this. So I pulled this off of that and disconnected it below. And I'll just make sure I remember to plug this back up when I put it back together. So I pulled the intake manifold up and forward a little bit to hopefully give me more space, take out the center connector. So I think I finally got the center one off. So let's see if I have enough wiggle room to get this bad boy out. And it looks like I do. And would you look at that? I'm glad I went ahead and ordered the parts before I verified that this was the leak. Look at that coolant there. And how do leaves and all this stuff get this deep into the engine? I have no idea. I mean, look at that. So I have to get my vacuum. But yeah, those are the dreaded connectors there. They were a lot of fun. I think I can just pop this out and this. Yes, those are flexible enough to be out of the way. And this pipe here, I wonder if after I remove all these 10 millimeters, if I can slide this out. That's one. My goodness. I did not drain the coolant before I started this endeavor. Rookie mistake. I can take this off to give me more space. Yeah. Come on, just give me free. All right. So that frees that end, and the other end just comes out with a lot more coolant. That'll give me enough wiggle room. At least I'm hoping anyway. Look at all that coolant. I imagine that leak has been there since I've owned the car, and it just got worse because, I mean, I put several thousand miles on it before I ever saw a coolant leak. Time to go get the shop vac. So it's been what feels like about a week. I got the parts in. I have a little bit of time tonight, just got off of work. I'm gonna vacuum up all the coolant and all the debris that's over there, and then plug up the ports so that I don't drop anything in there. I don't know what this bolt goes to, but I found it down there, right over in that area. The best time to drain the coolant is before you start a job like this. And the second best time is right now. That's actually pretty cool. They don't let the thing fall all the way down. It just kind of dangles there. I like that. Let's see if this valley doesn't keep refilling now that I've drained the coolant. And I am going to tape off these intake ports with some painter's tape. Wow, it's not sticking. Well, let me wipe it off and see if they'll stick. Look how dirty it is. Yeah, it does clean up a good bit. This rag is tearing up. Maybe I'll get a cloth rag. And it's actually good to clean off for when I reinstall the manifold. These old socks with holes in them are working pretty good. Just sprayed a bit of brake cleaner on there. All right, let's see if it'll stick now. Good enough. I'll show you later why I was pretty certain that I had a valley pan leak, but since I'm in here, it's a good time to address the seal on this pipe as well. It can also be a source of a leak. Being unfamiliar with this engine made me think this next bit was a bit crazy, but it was a well-documented aftermarket solution that saves a lot of time and money. I'm going to cut the tube instead of removing all the things on the front of the engine that would allow you to remove it. There, that makes me feel a bit better. All right, here goes nothing. Looking back, I would have put a piece of cardboard underneath the tube to catch these shavings, but I do vacuum them out later. Almost. That wasn't that bad. So this side came out immediately. Let's see how easy this side comes out. Pretty easy. Pretty sure the kit I have comes with a new O-ring. So I'm gonna see if I can gently get this out. Come on, there we go. there is another O-ring in there. Let's see if I can get it out. I was recently in the store and saw some non-marring plastic picks. I should have picked them up, but I didn't anticipate needing them this soon. I'm going to try with my screwdriver, but if I had one of them, I would be a bit more aggressive. All right, I finally got up under it. Ugh. There it is. Old, and it's not really that pliable anymore, but it seems like maybe it still should have been able to do its job. I'm going to clean out where this O-ring goes as best I can, because this side looks really clean, and there is definitely nothing in the O-ring gland. Did you know that where O-rings live is called an O-ring gland? But this side is going to be a bit more difficult to see, and it's a bit dirtier as well. I took some close-up pictures with my phone, and although I think the new seal will seal it well enough to not leak, I want to get it a bit cleaner. And I finally get to look at the new stuff. My wife thought this was an Amazon box, but I was like, oh no, 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 way better than an Amazon box. Yo, stickers. They never sent stickers before. All right, so this should be the pipe. This is a strut for the rear bottom part of the trunk. This should be the valley pan. Comes with instructions. Pages of instructions. Just cleaning the front with a pick and a wire brush. Here is the magical new tube. Okay. So there will be O-rings here, lubed up liberally. Yes, I guess the rest is in this bag. But what I'm going to try and do is clean up a little better. Valley pan. There we go. And there is the seal there. Oh, I should have one more piece. The tube that goes from here to the water pump, I should have that as well. That should be in the other box. The new tube from the water pump. Oh yeah, and I got an O-ring. I think it goes with the water pump as well. I am set. Those instructions said a pick and a wire brush. That made me a little nervous. So I got a plastic bristled brush with some very stiff bristles. So I'm gonna give that a shot. See if it gets it any cleaner. I got it some cleaner, but it is just really hard to get it perfect. So I did as best I could. And then I vacuumed out the valley a little more. Now I don't have any of the seals here. I'm just practicing setting it in there. So let's see. And then you'll pull it like that, but I don't see where the... make sure the angle step is facing upward and the ridge is visible. And that's where the little lock will go. All right, I see how it'll work now. I don't think I'm gonna need a shim. If I put this in, there is no wiggle room. Like it just barely fits in there, so the shims would be too thick to go in there. Since I'm over here and it's plainly visible, I'll go ahead and install the easy O-ring. All right, so it's installed. And now I'm gonna apply a liberal coat of silicone grease. This is the grease that came with the kit. That O-ring is nice and slippery now. And now I'm going to install this seal with the bevel side facing the back of the engine so that when I put the new tube in, it goes nice and smooth into the ramp surface. I've had a couple of false starts. This one, since you're working kind of upside down and backwards, kind of awkward to put in, but I'll get it. All right, I'm going to try that, putting it in like that, and seeing if it lets me get one side seat. Nope. And it does help to put grease on the outside as you install it. I think I got it. I don't know what I did, but I fought with it and finally I got it in. But I took a picture with my phone, even after it seating in the right orientation and properly, to make sure it's all in and that the beveled edge is beyond the lip. See, now I can see how people can install this and it leak. If you catch that edge, even if you got the beveled one in right, it could leak. So make sure it's seated all the way back. So now I'm going to assemble this bad boy. Definitely don't want to damage these bad boys. There we go. And now to lube them with the supplied grease. How much is too much? I don't know, but there's plenty of grease, so I'm gonna use it. And because I am nervous, I am gonna put some grease on here as well. Hope this goes in smoothly. Here goes nothing. Oh, it's tight. Let me grease it some more. All right, let's try this again. I'm nervous. Maybe I just need to be a little more forceful. Well, it went in, and it is a tight fit. Oh, that's smoother. All right, feeling a little better about that. Okay, now what next? The little clip. So let's see if I can get this thing on. This is sort of like a big key ring thing. I don't know how to get it on. Maybe I'm going about this all wrong. Maybe you spread it out like that and walk it around like that. Oh, it's like a puzzle. When you figure out the puzzle, it works. Let me get it close to where it's going to end up. I mean, it has to be tight, but it's kind of scraping the pipe. That is not good. Well, they're very, very, very shallow. I'm going to get a coolant system pressure testing kit later. Anyway, I'm going to test it. If it leaks, I'll try again with something else. I'm going to at least put it on. I'm going to put some grease on all the O-rings. Lots of it. So I definitely don't want to fight this thing in. Oh, and on this side, the slope, you want the slope to be like this, not like that. I don't know if you can tell, but you want the part of this that goes farther to be toward the top and the part that is shorter to be on the bottom. I am convinced it is bottomed out. Now to get this one over there. This is just visible as it was when I was test fitting it. I really want to hear a satisfying sound when this goes in. Hey, there we go. I think the pipe is now installed. Next up, I'm gonna clean up this area a little better before I put the new valley pan on. I did notice a little bit of pitting. I got this pretty clean, and I did notice a little bit of pitting right here. And I suspect it was leaking there because it would make sense that it would leak there, run down there, and then present itself under the car where I saw the leak. A trick I've used in the past is to fill it with some JB Weld and then install whatever gaskets I have on top of it. But this time, I'm just going to use some RTV that is coolant compatible to fill in the gaps. So I did clean off the surface that the valley pan needs to seal to, but I have yet to remove the remaining portion of this tube. See, this came off of the tube that used to live in here, and actually I gotta clean that up a bit. So that is the new tube that connects to the water pump. That is the old one. Check this out. This came off of the old one. So this is the old one, and it seals. Press it in and it forms a seal. Like that. And it looks like this was leaking as well. There's evidence of leaking there and there. So gotta go make sure that the other side is clean. It actually looks pretty clean. I just don't know what this stuff is. So I'm gonna take my time and get that off, and then I will proceed. I don't know if that's part of the seal. That looks like some sort of RTV they put on to try and make it seal better, because it is not coming off like rubber gasket. I also got a new O-ring for this. A lot of times the best view of something that I can get is with my phone with the flash on. Some Permatex water pump and thermostat housing RTV. I'm just going to try and fill in these imperfections over in this corner. Now, I've never done this before, so chime in if you think this is overkill, unnecessary, or just a bad idea. So now I'm getting ready to install the valley pan, and I put silicone grease on the ends of this in hopes that it would make it easier to push in. So we'll see. Yeah, it went in nicely. Dadgummit. Oops, gotta take it out anyway. So now I can slide this in And hopefully the silicone grease will let me put it in at this angle. All right. And now, keep everything lined up. Go ahead and position it. Making sure, I believe these are the knock sensor wires, and making sure they're out of the way. And it looks like they are not out of the way at the moment. Now pull it forward to seat it into the water pump. And now all the holes are lined up. The wire was trapped. I think it is fully seated. All of the holes are lined up. So now I'm going to put them all down hand tight and look up some torque specs. But before I could install the bolts, I had to clean them because some of them looked like this. I normally would use a thread chaser for this, but I didn't have it at the house, so I used a die. And now they're nice and clean. I'm going to do that with another one. That is a lot better. And yes, they're going in smooth. And they're all back in now. I'm having trouble finding the torque for these. So what I'm going to do is torque them to what I know these 6mm bolts tend to be torqued to. It's around 8 foot-pounds or something like that. I didn't have the torque wrench I needed at the house, so I had to come back later and verify that they were all evenly torqued. There's also an O-ring in here that I'm hoping to replace. And for good reason. It is awfully brittle. It fell apart. It is crumbling. If I'm not leaking here, I would have been in short order because it is not pliable in the least anymore. I don't want to push it back in there. Oh yeah, look at that piece. Please don't fall in there. And it looks like someone put RTV around this as well, because I don't think gasket material behaves like this. I don't know if you can see that, but that looks like, yeah, that looks like RTV. I am back with a torque wrench, so I am going to go ahead and torque these down. So I picked up this nifty little brush kit because I wanted to clean this out. I couldn't think of a better way. So this is a nylon brush. It's working. The kit also has a stainless steel brush and a brass brush. And the new O-ring got silicone too, because that's what we're doing this week. We're putting silicone on all the O-rings. Now I can reinstall this beast. All right. And it went in nicely because of the silicone. And this should snap in. But what I missed was that these two valley pan bolts hold this in. So I gotta take them out and then I can proceed. I can barely reach this. Let's see if I can get it to reseat itself. I think I got it bottomed out. This is still a good tight fit, which is good. Let's see, does that do it? I think that does it. And with that, the coolant system should be completely closed. So before I went any further, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any leaks, because with everything I touched and all the potential leak points, it would be a pain to have to come back and revisit any of these things after I got the intake manifold and all the other connections back on. Yeah, we are eclipsing 2 minutes and it has not budged, but I am going to compare a before and after picture of the gauge just to make sure. Even though the instruction manual does not list this one as working with my car, it absolutely does. I have partially filled it with fluid. 2 minutes later, I'm still right where I was. So I'm going to release it and continue with the reassembly. I don't know why they said the yellow and the red worked for BMW. Maybe they work for other models, but this one worked for the E70. I also picked up a new set of intake manifold gaskets. So I'm going to pop the old ones out. These might be the original ones. And that is the last one in. And I like that they kind of hold themselves in because of the little protrusions in the little galley there. So I'm gonna go check the surface, make sure it's clean. We might install this thing today. So now is the time to finally remove these. On second thought, the seal surfaces look pretty clean. It's just around them that they're dirty. So if there's any area that I think needs to be clean on the seal surface, I may spend some time, but I do risk dropping grit in there. So I'm gonna vacuum it off, and as long as the seal surface is fine, I'm gonna let it ride. but I will lock in some of the things back to their original location. This guy lived right there. Almost lined up. All right, now for the connectors. So hopefully getting them on will be easier than getting them off. Start with the most difficult one, that center one. Can't even feel my way, I don't even know which one I got. Yeah, remember these guys? This is actually when I realized that you can put the center one on without lifting the intake manifold, but you have to kind of tilt it into place. So now that the intake manifold is reconnected electrically, I am going to reattach it mechanically by reinstalling the nuts that hold it to the head. No tricks. I'm able to get to all of them with my hand. Even these back ones. And I'm having trouble finding torque specs for this. So I'm going to make sure they're snug and maybe do some research tonight while I'm watching TV. Since this is easy, this too. And that is a good stopping point for this video, but in the next video I will be addressing a battery drain, third brake light, and some other odds and ends I need to take care of. If you would like to follow along, hit subscribe. If you would like to see the things I've done to it to get to this point, check out the playlist. Thanks for watching. Take care.